Every NBA team in action today. A 14-game NBA slate is going to be a big one. And one of the games is not really on the slate, so that's why every team's in action. It's only 14 games. Anyway, though, we're going to do what we always do here. It's going to be a fun one, hopefully. We're going to strap in and look at my projections compared to one of the industry leaders out there in Stokastic. We're going to see what the betting markets have with our friends at Unabated and see what the best bets are. I was going to hop into some DFS sims, see what's going on with the top sim lineups. May in this video, you know the must plays for today's gigantic slate, February 12th. Let's get into it here. Your Q-tag tweet from Underdog. Here's a big one. Frankly, there were more Q-tag guys earlier in the week, for whatever that's worth. Still a lot of key Q-tag guys today, and it is the day before the All-Star break for a lot of teams. For these guys, some people playing tomorrow, but I think there are 5 teams going tomorrow, 5 games going tomorrow, 10 teams. So keep that in mind here, and a lot of guys on a back-to-back as well. Anthony Edwards, Jaylen Brown, your Q-tag guys, Damian Lillard, Alperen Sengun, Zion Williamson, Tyler Hero, OG Anunoby, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., PJ Washington, Jeremy Grant, Mike Conley, Nick Claxton, Moussa Diabate, Dante Exum, and Duncan Robinson are Q-tags. Some guys already ruled out include Grayson Allen, Devin Booker. We got RJ Barrett in. I think that's one positive. It's a mess. It's going to be a mess the rest of the day. So just strap in for the NBA at its finest today. 2 days before the All-Star break, technically, but it feels like it is the last day before the All-Star break with all these Q-tags and players we don't know the status of right now. Checking chats. Spags need to talk me off of 50% Jared Butler. Why? They have a healthy team. There's all the guards are available. Why would you play Butler? Even on a new team on Philly? No. Don't do that. Bull MF and Bull. Yeah, Bull started yesterday. He's one of the thumbnail if you're curious who that is. Players should matter a lot today with no Devin Booker. For the Suns, again, no Grayson Allen as well. Kevin Durant, does he get ruled out last minute? He played high 30s minutes yesterday. And Bull has now played over 28 minutes, I believe, in the last 3 games. Over 30 in the last 2. And got the start yesterday. So Bull, assuming he starts again, he should be a monster again after not being able to pivot to him, unfortunately for me, on the slate yesterday. Too much Matas Buzelis, which was an awful play, but it couldn't get to Bull. Fucking kick me in the dick one more time on that slate. Wasn't a bad slate, but it could have been better if I had Bull more yesterday. Your top objective players right now, and full disclosure up top here, the Stokastic sim was not working correctly before the show. They also hadn't updated their data, so you're running with my minutes fixes here for the guys that we know are already out, and also the sim's not going to properly reflect my projections, so I'm going to kind of breeze through the my sim exposure more than usual today because it's not really my sim exposure. Nikola Jokic, though, I have at 67.2 fantasy points. Stokastic has a 66.4. Basically, for Denver, if you get Aaron Gordon out, Nikola Jokic is going to look like an even better play. Right now, Aaron Gordon a Q-tag, as we read in that top tweet before. At this point, we have Nikola Jokic looking like the top player in the slate. I have to say, though, in the optimizer run I ran on the solver before the show, because just get a read of my projections were, because Stokastic wasn't allowing me to update my projections. I think probably because there's too much data on it, would be my guess. Basically, was getting not a lot of Jokic overall. In fact, I don't think I got any Jokic in my top 25 lineups based off projection. Got a lot of Bull, got 100% Bull in my optimizer run before the show. I got 100% of Anthony Edwards. I got Towns at 60%. I got Michael Porter Jr. at 20, got Aaron Gordon at 25, got Jokic at 25. So I'm not all out on Jokic by any stretch, but it isn't easy to get to him yet until we get some of these guys rolled out. It's hopefully some real value opening up with the slate as we go on. We got Anthony Edwards, my number 2 projected player overall, 53.1 fantasy points for me, 50.1 for Stokastic. He was a good play the other day despite shooting absolutely terribly. And at spot versus Cleveland, opened up the game 0 for 7. Just didn't really get on track there, but still put up 55 fantasy points. The usage that Edwards gets, assuming that he goes today, he is a Q-tag right now. Without having Randall out there, without having Dante DiVincenzo out there, it's going to go all Anthony Edwards' way. He basically becomes like about a 37%, some rate sample sizes, 40% usage rate player. Basically takes every possession the Timberwolves have when these guys are in a spot that, that these guys aren't available. So for Minnesota, right now for them, the matchup on the other side going against the Milwaukee team, we'll see what they do with Damian Lillard with his Q-tag. The Milwaukee, not a good defensive team without Giannis. And total here for Minnesota, 114.8 implied points. Feels to me like that would be an Anthony Edwards going spot today. Karl-Anthony Towns, 18% for the field. Think he's a strong play again. Went for 70 yesterday when he was my big stand over Joel Embiid. Thank you for not letting me down. Karl-Anthony Towns yesterday. In yesterday's game, Brunson was in foul trouble early, had an awful fantasy day. I think ended up at like 15 fantasy points by the end of the game, which is not very good. Could be a bounce back spot for Brunson here in Towns. When you see him being projected for about 1/5 the field's ownership, which is fairly chalky on a slate of this size. could be a day to go back to Brunson and hope you get that right today. But for Towns in the spot, obviously well projected for me. It's combined total in this game versus Atlanta, 241 implied points. Towns does not have the history of beef with Trae Young like Jalen Brunson does. So that's one thing, maybe a downgrade for Towns. But obviously facing an Atlanta team that's not very good overall, going to Towns here feels good. So I'll get him a good amount. He's at 9,400. I think he's a strong play overall. Had the lineup except Brunson yesterday. Yeah, I had a lot of Brunson as well. I had Brunson in like 50% of my lineups. And, as you might imagine, those 50% of lineups didn't go so well. Grady Dick, though, ended up getting there. I saw a guy, Robert Griffin III, tweeting in the VIP Discord, tilting in the VIP Discord, rather. And Grady Dick got 30 fantasy points. He got there. Took away probably from old Emmanuel quickly down the home stretch a little bit with how much usage he was getting, but that's how it goes. Maxey was bad last night. That's what happens when you have him beat in. That's basically it. Cade Cunningham, another top projected guy for me here, 51.8. Stokastic is at 52.3, so I'm usually a little bit higher on Cade. Today I'm about a half point lower, but another pay-up option looks pretty good. Damian Lillard, if he goes, I do have him 5 fantasy points higher than Stokastic at his $9,500 salary. Lillard would be a tough matchup versus Minnesota on paper. They do love to trap the lead guards, get the ball out of his hands, force him to kick a little bit, but it's Lillard and it's Milwaukee. They could find ways to get him into space, get him open. So if Lillard goes, I will be playing him today at 9,500. And if he sits, then everybody else is going to look better. And you could probably don't want to take shots at Ryan Rollins. You get a better shot of Portis hitting after the disappointment last time out. Kuzma would look better. Everything would look a little bit better for the remaining Bucks, but obviously the odds of them, well, they should hang in. Minnesota's not really a blowout kind of team. So Lillard, key one to watch right now. If he plays, he looks good. If he doesn't play, everybody else looks better. Detroit beat down of Chicago yesterday was something. Yeah, and they play again today, which is odd. Embiid choked that game away in the last possession. Yeah, that was really bad. He had a wide open 3, drove to the rim, somehow dribbled the ball off his own head in that process. It was really bad. Sixers, I said it yesterday, they find ways to lose to every team. They find ways to let other teams in when they shouldn't be, and that was the exact case yesterday. They should have won that game easily, and not only did they not win it, but they also fucked up catastrophically in the end. That's been the Sixers' year. Victor Wembanyama. Today, I did not touch the Spurs rates at all. Just kind of letting the Aaron Fox be his normal rates for the year. Same thing for the Spurs guys. There has been a noticeable decrease in usage overall for guys like Jeremy Sohan. Devin Vassell has fallen about 8% in his usage rate. He's now at like 20%. He was historically about high 20s with where he was with his usage. So basically, everything is moving around for the Spurs, but I don't think it's enough to want to adjust the rates at this point because Fox is kind of stabilized. Wemby's kind of stabilized. So Wemby obviously had the outlier day last time out. Could be De'Aaron Fox's turn. I'm not going to get much Wemby anyway, but I just wanted to point it out here. I do have him high projected today. Then Stokastic for that reason. SGA looking like not as good of a play as some other guys here for me, but certainly not a bad spot here. Chet Holmgren out for rest. More theoretical opportunity for SGA. And a spot where the Thunder are, as always, pretty big favorites. They are 14-point favorites now at home versus Miami. And Miami with Tyler Hero questionable on the other side. SGA could probably light him up if he really chose to. We'll see if he does or not. But not a great projection on him, but certainly playable. LeBron, I wouldn't play at this point. I do meant 49.1 fantasy points. Kept him and Luka Doncic's rates where they've been their entire season. Both guys do eat from the same plate, though. So at this point, I would really like to see both their prices fall before I start to consider them. But I do have Doncic taking a much bigger projection drop. Have him at 45 fantasy points. LeBron, I have at 49. But to me, they're kind of the same play. Neither one should be a priority play today. I'm on the slate. You have a lot of Lakers missing, though. You have guys like Gabe Vincent out. DFS is out for them. You have some dudes that are out for the Lakers. So maybe if you want to take your shot, you can. It's hard to predict how it's going to go with it was a weird first game. A lot of deferring for Luka in that spot. And LeBron was kind of deferring back to him. And it didn't seem like Luka knew what to do at any given point because of that push-pull dynamic, where he's clearly trying to respect a guy in LeBron who he has been had as a favorite in his life for, as mentioned, LeBron is one of his heroes. So I think for LeBron and Jokic in the spot, or LeBron and Doncic in the spot, excuse me, I'd probably just stay away. But maybe that means there's Sermon upside there because nobody's going to play him. Jason Tatum, you have Jaylen Brown at the Q tag. He would look better if Jaylen Brown goes out as it is right now. An okay guy at 9,900, but not a priority. You have literally every pay up option available on the slate. Nobody's really been priced down for it. So if you have a lean in the spot, you could take it. For me, my lean would be probably Towns, Jokic if you could afford him, Anthony Edwards, Lillard if he plays. I think that's basically where I am right now. Now just saying LeBron is your hero. I mean, good. That's probably what you need to keep a good political relationship with LeBron on the team, where there's already the media bubblings of him noticing that I guess the Lakers were willing to trade stuff for him from the Mark Williams deal, giving up that draft pick. And they weren't willing to give up stuff for LeBron when he had wanted new players brought in. So, it's good for Luka to be deferential, I think, to start. And hopefully that keeps up. And they don't get acrimonious because that would be sad for everybody. Kyrie, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's had some really weird splits. So basically this year, there's been no game where Booker and Beal both didn't play, which surprised me. I would have thought there would have been one, but it has been the case since the preseason, basically. So Kevin Durant, in limited sample size without Beal and without Booker, he's averaged something like 1.6 fantasy points per minute. I didn't update the rates to reflect that because it just seems implausible and it wasn't a big enough sample size. Let me pull it up real fast because it was interesting to note. Because I think Durant's going to get overlooked in the slate, especially with the fact, at this point, I think you'd assume he doesn't play. Yeah, he's averaged 1.7 fantasy points a minute with 41% usage and a 29% assist rate and about 400 possessions without Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. So he's been a monster. I don't expect that to be the case. But if you want one guy here who I think really nobody's going to play, 5% ownership even feels heavy for him, and Stokastic's projections, I think Durant's that guy. Let's sort by value here because I could just keep talking about guys forever here. And again, value probably to be more opening up later on. So just keep that in mind because we have so many Q tag guys. This is absolutely going to move around, especially with the minutes being adjusted and all that. So I did have to adjust Phoenix's minutes a little bit, but Bull, I feel pretty good about the minutes projection. He's played, I believe, 28 or more minutes the last few games. Let me just double check that because I hate saying stuff and not being correct about it. 24 minutes in the last 3 games. Last 2 games, he's been over 30. It would be a little bit more comfortable, I think, if you got Kevin Durant out to assume that Bull will get you 30 minutes. Without Beal and without Booker on the floor, he's averaged just 1 fantasy point per minute as well. So he's actually played technically a little bit worse with those guys off. Maybe the spacing gets a little bit weird for him. I'm not entirely sure what the rationale would be because he is at a 1.14 fantasy point per minute pace on the year. But basically with Bull, if you get, even if you just get Booker out and Grayson Allen out, Bull seems like he has to play high 20s minutes no matter what. If you get Durant out, he absolutely has to play like into the 30s in minutes. And at that point, if he gets you 1 fantasy point per minute at 4,300, he's probably good to go. If he gets you what he's been getting normally in these last few games, where he's putting up 40, 50 fantasy points, then you absolutely needed him. So I think Bull on the slate, to me, the 100% play for DraftKings. You can obviously fade him, but I'm not going to. I don't think in my lineups. And the Stokastic ownership right now, 12.5%. They didn't update for Booker being out or Grayson Allen being out, so that's why it's so low. Damian Lee, I gave a few minutes. So basically, I think it's a question about who gets the minutes here because they should be shooting guard minutes mostly going as a result of having Grayson Allen out, as a result of having Devin Booker out, obviously. So it should be getting more minutes to Damian Lee and Ryan Dunn, I would think. But you could get more minutes to Monty Morris. You could theoretically give out even more minutes to Tyus Jones, who should be a good play again today. I had my doubts yesterday. He played 30-plus minutes in that game, looked pretty good. So basically, can go some different ways. I'm curious to see what Stokastic's minutes are, but they hadn't been updated yet before doing the show. So at this point for Damian Lee, he kind of is where he is. I gave him 24.5 minutes. He looks like a good value at 3,200. But obviously, those minutes are not guaranteed, and we'll see. I watched the deeper dive after this one. I'll be on with Eric Lindquist today. I'll have an update hopefully for minutes then. But I think Lee has to get some minutes, but I probably gave him too much. Thomas Bryant. Miles Turner out again. Thomas Bryant smashed yesterday. Kind of surprisingly in a game where Towns also went off. But Thomas Bryant, 17% ownership for the field. I have him at 50% in the sim. Obviously, that's not my projections being uploaded, so it doesn't really matter that much. But Thomas Bryant to me looks like a strong play at 5K. I imagine a lot of lineups today will include Thomas Bryant and Bull. If you were to play other centers in there, come over the top with a Jokic somehow, Thomas Bryant's probably not going to get you to a Jokic level. And Thomas Bryant's on a back-to-back. Maybe today is the day where he gets in foul trouble. You see some minutes go Obi Toppin's way more so as that second center there, even though he's obviously playing some non-center minutes as well. That would sort of be the way to fade Thomas Bryant, I guess. But he played good minutes yesterday. He's played good minutes even when he's sucked in games lately when Miles Turner's been out. So I think that for Thomas Bryant here, he is one of your priority plays at a 5K salary. Nick Smith comes up a good amount for me. 27.7 is projection I have for him. Basically, the Hornets at this point, a little bit low on guys. Still about a 10-man rotation, but Miles Bridges is going to be your lead guy today. Nick Smith gains a pretty big rate increase. Actually, he's averaged 27% usage without a lot of the Hornets guys who are out today, including Mark Williams, LaMelo Ball, And also, obviously, Brandon Miller was out for the year. Micic, too, I gave him that rate boost. So Nick Smith's been kind of gunning when the Hornets are basically down to the full skeleton crew here. And that's a little bit of a small sample size thing, 225 possessions. But I gave Nick Smith a boost. He's been pretty good in the small sample size. And the Hornets, just at this point, like, you have no Kogi. You're missing some guys. Seth Curry went nuts in one of the recent games. Maybe he gets more work. But somebody here from Charlotte should benefit. Even though we don't like Charlotte, their team total's not very good at 95.3 implied points. And they are playing Orlando. There's just a lot of opportunity to go around theoretically. So maybe cautious with your Hornets ownership, but I think it's worth taking shots on him. KJ Simpson, another guy benefiting just because of the fact that, like, if they hang in there versus Orlando, one of these guys probably had a decent day, maybe an outlier day. Isaiah Hartenstein, no Chet Holmgren, as I mentioned before. Hartenstein, 38.9 projection for me, 35.6 for Stokastic. Only 13% owned. Again, really nobody's that chalky in the slate in this first run of data that we have on the sheet right now. And I think that's really it for value. Diabate playable if he does go. He is questionable with the eye injury. If he were out, we have a minutes limited use of Nurkic, so that would be a little bit weird as well. That's sort of how that goes. All right, we're going to go game by game here as best we can. It's going to be an abridged game by game, I think, because we have so many games to go through. But guys, if you get value of this video, got a lot of you guys watching live, please do hit that like button. Please subscribe here. I had a dream in my mind of hitting 1,000 subs here on the channel before the All-Star break. I didn't think it was likely, and it's not going to happen now. We can still get close here, hopefully pass it soon after the All-Star break. So please hit the subscribe button down below, hit the like button. I do videos every day, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. This week, there won't be a Friday video because we won't have NBA games, but I am here every day doing the best I can to make sure I'm giving you guys accurate data, reflecting the NBA slate, hoping to give you some sort of an edge here, or at the very least a view of how things look right now in the 4 o'clock hour every weekday. And of course, Underdog, $1,000 of bonus cash. Check them out. Last Dog Bowl day on there if you want to try to win a trip to San Diego and a shot at big money. Stokastic, 15% off all the data, all the tools, all the sim stuff. You get it for yourself for 15% off. Link in the description for Stokastic. And of course, Unabated, our presenting sponsor here. You want to get better in betting? You could be up $40,000 if you've been betting $100 a unit, 30 minutes before tip-off every day. That's basically what Unabated does. They backtest things because they're professional bettors, led by professional bettors. It's not a bullshit flim-flam company like you get on Twitter. It's a legit place to check out here. We'll talk about them more in a moment. I'll show you some best bets from it. But please do check out Unabated if you want to get money in your life. And DFS is hard. It's hard to win every night in DFS for betting. It's frankly a lot less hard if you put in the volume, put in the work. All right. I saw somebody mentioned Fantasy Cruncher the other day. I don't know what's going on with Fantasy Cruncher, but Solver, if you want a straight one-to-one replacement for Fantasy Cruncher. And, Stochastic Sims do a similar thing, so follow your heart. But obviously, Stokastic, check them out. There's a Solver link in the description, too, if you want to check that out. That's honestly, for a lot of slates, when I'm low on time and I don't have the ability to run a sim, I'll just run the Solver for my projection set and then kind of manipulate exposures through that. So I'll give you the vouch for the Solver. Charlotte, 95.3 implied points. Orlando, 107.8 implied points here. No big stands in Charlotte. Got 20% of Nick Smith. But again, I really don't want to dwell on my sim ownership too much because it's not really reflecting my projection set, as I've said enough times on here. Basically, there we go. Used the pick 6 stuff. Got 5 out of 6 on 2 slips. That's Unabated. I'm telling you, man. The Badge Bros guys do it every day as well, where they're putting out like 3-leg pick'ems or whatever. It's a very good tool to get you good bets in for Unabated. And really, I'm only showing you a limited amount of markets here on stream, but like if you get it for yourself, you will get. And I really have a hard time guaranteeing results because that's betting for you. But I really would guarantee if you do the work, you'll get results Unabated because that's just what it means to have premium data that people who spend a lot of money on betting have a lot of success with. Anyway, Nick Smith, going to have a good amount of him. I don't know if this will be a fifth of the field, but certainly a good amount of it. KJ Simpson, same thing there. These guys look pretty good to me at 4,400 and 4,500. Both guys can get there in parallel, I think, in this spot with the shorthanded Charlotte team. Seth Curry recently had a big day. Let me just pull up the minutes lately because that was a weird one. I think that was over the weekend. Wasn't versus Brooklyn, right? Yeah, versus Brooklyn, he was back to 15 minutes. So he was back to normal there. I would say for Seth Curry, I don't really think he's a play. It does seem like they want to give more minutes to KJ Simpson and Nick Smith, but theoretically, if minutes were to go away from one of those guys, they'd probably go Seth Curry, maybe Jeffrey's way. Seth Curry can get hot and basically earn himself more minutes is really the main thing here. But really at this point, with the low total and a matchup versus a tough Orlando team, who's also a low-pace team, one of the very few teams in the league who played a lower pace than Charlotte. I think these guys look okay. And Bridges, I would also take shots at. But none of them are really like priorities to me. If better value opens up, I'll be there. But those guys right now look like some of the better values. Besides that, we got Orlando, 107.8 implied points. Really nothing for me here. Franz Wagner, I have a little bit higher projected in the field. Peliman-Caro a little bit lower. I have no issues going to Franz here. No issue going to Bancaro. They should be able to do well in a low-pace spot. Soft defense, but not as many possessions. At this point, really for Franz and Paolo, I think they're nice little tournament options at under 5%. Anthony Black, a little bit less so. Anthony Black also has cornrows now instead of his big fluffy here, which made me sad to see the other day. Anthony Black, he can play as a value at 4,200. Nothing else here looks that fantastic. Indiana, 126.5 implied points. You're getting a good amount of ownership here because of no Miles Turner again. A lot of these guys, you get a slight rate increase because of not having Turner out there. Pascal Siakam, a lot of the field going to be here, 16%. Thomas Bryant, 17%. I will have a lot of Thomas Bryant today, I'm pretty sure. Worry a little bit about the downside, but revenge game for him versus Washington, and he's playing Washington, so those are enough factors alone there. Thomas Bryant to me at 5K with him sort of being locked into center minutes. Last time for Indiana, I think he was high 20s. The game before last versus the Lakers, he got to 23. And then what was it yesterday? Sorry, guys. I shouldn't be checking minutes on the fly here on a 14-game slate. But Thomas Bryant's to me, one of the most important plays in the slate, so I just want to make sure I get the minutes count right from yesterday. He put up, he had 32.2 minutes yesterday. So for a big guy, maybe you're saying, oh, he pushed the minutes up. But honestly, he could have, looking at Popcorn Machine here, and I'll pull it up real fast. He could have played another like 5 minutes here if the game were competitive, the Knicks didn't pull ahead. So Thomas Bryant could be theoretically live to play high 30s minutes. If he gets into foul trouble, he's going to get yanked early and you're going to get jerked around. But I think Thomas Bryant, a much better play to me than Pascal Siakam. Just stopping by to say every time I play Tatum, he's butt cheese. I'm going to be over the field tonight. Thank you for your public service there. So I would say Tatum looks like a much better play if Jaylen Brown is out. But if Brown is in, I think he's just another guy on the slate. Aaron Nesmith, I played so much of yesterday. He was fucking awful because he got the surprise start. He was basically free. He did absolutely nothing on the court. I really don't want to be there again, but he's 12% projected owned. Indiana, really high total facing Washington. If you want to play these guys, you can. Halliburton, 6% owned here, 7%. You take that shot as your low-owned kind of tournament option. But Bryant, to me, is the most appealing option by a pretty wide margin. Washington on their side, Alex Sarr back in, 17% owned for the field. I doubt I will get that much Alex Sarr when I get my data in correctly, but he is going to be owned a good amount, it looks like, at that salary. I would much rather have Thomas Bryant from where I sit. Jordan Poole does gain a good amount from having Kuzma out, but really at this point, when you have Brogdon there, you have a mostly full roster. Probably not a priority play to go to Jordan Poole today. Okafor is in for Indiana as well. Good point. Okafor for Indiana might hurt the potential for minutes theoretically at some point for guys like Bryant and Obi Toppin. Didn't matter yesterday. I don't even think he got on the court. He didn't get on the court till the blowout period. Played only 3 minutes, but at some point Okafor could take minutes away. Especially if Indiana blew out Washington, that'd be one way that maybe Thomas Bryant doesn't get there, is Okafor coming in for the blowout and just playing well. Oh my God, we only got 5 minutes of the unabated period. All right, it's real speed run here. San Antonio, I got nobody, 112.8 implied points. They're an ESPN game today. Pretty big total favoring Boston on this side. 8.5-point dogs are San Antonio on the road. So if they play competitive, maybe Fox Wemby gets there, but I don't really see them being plays I'd go out of my way to get. We're actually going to have, very well projected plays in the slate. For Boston on their side, they'll look a lot better if Jaylen Brown is out. As it is, nobody above 10% owned. Brown picking up some ownership. Porzingis picking up some. Tatum, one of your low-owned guys to take a shot at that apparently our guy Nolan is playing today. Cleveland, 125 implied points. Toronto, 111.5 on their side. Nothing on Cleveland for me. These guys are appropriately priced. You need somebody to get ruled out. I think Ty Jerome is questionable today. Even if he were out, probably wouldn't matter too much. You'd probably just replace his minutes with Craig Porter Jr. mostly. Maybe a few more for Garland and Mitchell out of that. But yeah, if everybody's in for Cleveland, nice total for them, but doesn't look like a good spot to go to them today. But it is a high total and a soft defense, so maybe you got a tournament outlier. One of those big days randomly from Mobley, from Mitchell. I'd probably get Garland more if I thought it'd be a big day for him, but I think that's really it for Cleveland. Kind of same as usual for them. Toronto on their back-to-back here, getting RJ Barrett back in. Stokastic data did not update for that. Quickly is going to come down a little bit as a result. I'm in a 32 projection, which is fine today. I think he was good enough yesterday, made the tournament winning lineup as I kind of thought he would. I am in all my lineups yesterday. But when you get Barrett back in, Quickly has certainly tournament upside, but he's not worth mega chalk like Stokastic has him at right now. So Quickly's ownership should come down. He's an okay play. Grady Dick will also come down as a result of having Barrett back in. Coming off concussion protocol, so Barrett should hopefully be full go as well. It's not like a ligament injury or something where, you kind of ramp him back up. He should be back to like whatever the minutes that Barnes and Quickly are playing for the most part. But Quickly got to 33 minutes yesterday, so we kind of like we speculated there. He's now sort of out of the danger zone of minutes. Back-to-back, maybe make him get closer to high 20s minutes. But Quickly, Dick, both guys not going to be priority plays today because of having Barrett back in. Atlanta on their side. We got New York as well, 124.8 implied points. Atlanta, a 8.5-point dog on the road. Nothing looks that great to me for Atlanta. 14% Karis LeVert is a value play. He and George Niang have basically been about 1 fantasy point per minute guys since being traded to Atlanta. They're okay, but really not priorities to me. Just LeVert being projected for 27 minutes is the main reason to get to him. Okongwu, you do have Clint Capella back in. What that means for Okongwu and Mo Gay, I'm not really sure. Mo Gay, if he starts again, I think you could take your shot. He's not going to be guaranteed like high 20s minutes or anything, but 3,700, maybe he's a value that works in lineups. But Atlanta, to me, kind of now appropriately priced for what their current roster situation is. And I'll say the same thing I always do here. Trae Young doesn't gate as much as you would think. From Jalen Johnson and DeAndre Hunter being off the team, his rates actually go down a little bit. But when accounting for the matchup, their team total, I still have that 1.2 fantasy points per minute today. New York on their side, I'll be getting a good amount of Towns today, I would think, at 9,400. He went nuts yesterday. I was all over him. Obviously, I think there'd be a little bit of a push-pull dynamic potentially for Jalen Brunson after the shitty day yesterday. Maybe that knocks Towns down. But I think Towns, in terms of projection, whenever I have him projected well, I just play him as it is. So I'll probably get a lot of Towns today. And I have no real issue with it. Brunson, I think, again, the bounce back spot, picked up some ticky-tack early fouls yesterday. Never really got back on track as a result. Brunson getting back on track today at 8,400. It's a nice price tag for him. Versus a guy in Trae Young that he has gone head-to-head with and had some outlier days against. If the DVP stuff matters to you, probably shouldn't. Josh Hart would look better if OG Anunoby is questionable again. We're out. And that's it for New York right now. Everybody looks better if Anunoby is out. Deuce McBride also questionable. So if you got Anunoby and McBride out, the core Knicks look a lot better because they're going to be playing probably high 30s minutes again. Philadelphia, no Joel Embiid today. Despite that, nothing looks that good to me. Low pace spot versus Brooklyn. These guys both playing under a 97 pace, so not really the kind of spot you normally want to attack. Maxey, George certainly can be tournament options. Quentin Grimes, I think, has a pretty good projection to me. Playing big minutes lately for Philadelphia, not getting jerked around in minutes like he was in Dallas. So I would say that for Quentin Grimes, that's that. Payne's minutes were because of the foul trouble for Brunson, I think. So Quentin Grimes, I'll highlight him, 4,700 shooting guard, small forward. Think he's worth a look with the minutes kind of consolidating for him amidst some of the wings for Philadelphia. Besides that, nobody else looks that good. Justin Edwards still in the rotation, but yeah, nothing here. Brooklyn, really don't want anything. Keon Johnson, I got 6%. These guys don't play big minutes. They're tanking. They still win some games despite that, but Brooklyn doesn't put up a lot of points, low pace spot. Yeah, that's really it. Philadelphia's defense sucks though. Miami, I got nothing. Skimming through it here. Oklahoma City. If Hero were out, though, Burks being back in play, did pick up the start recently for the Heat. Wiggins out of bio will look more playable. That's sort of how that would look if Hero were out. Oklahoma City, getting no Chet Holmgren here. Not getting much SGA, but he does look a little bit better. Just suck my fucking dick, Ryan. It's barely easy enough to, or barely possible enough to wrap my head around DraftKings. If you think I fucking looked up FanDuel price tags under 5K, you are deadly mistaken. I hate your trolling, and I hope you burn. So it is a very classy way for me to respond. Jalen Williams, I just don't cover FanDuel here, guys. I will prep it before the deeper dive as the time I have between, but it's just not a priority for the show, and it never will be. That's the guarantee here on Splash Play. Isaiah Hartenstein. We got 18% ownership for me. Well, I guess, again, this doesn't really matter. 13% for the field. I like Hartenstein, though. Good projection. Gains a good amount from not having Chet Holmgren in, and that's basically that. Milwaukee, Damian Lillard Q-tag is the key one here. If he is out, you open up a shot for Kevin Porter Jr. Ryan Rollins filling in. If Lillard is in, Lillard looks pretty good himself. I have him projected for 51 fantasy points here. Bobby Portis, I would take the shot at again, have him for 38 fantasy points, despite projected play only 27 minutes. There's a chance he could start again. It seems unlikely, though, with him coming off the bench lately. Kuzma, I am nowhere near. I have him at 27.9 fantasy points. Stokastic has him at 34.5. Kuzma's rates have come down on Milwaukee. He's not shooting better either. He is like a worse version of what he was in Washington. He's not really a play you should be going to, besides the fact he's a starter and getting too much opportunity right now because they want to see what they have. They just traded for him. But Kuzma's a fucking albatross. He might get played a good amount today. I'm not really sure that he gets played by 25% of the field or so. But I'm not in on the Kuzma thing. I'd take a shot at no ownership on Portis every single time. Minnesota, 114.8 implied points on their side. Anthony Edwards looks good. As I've mentioned, the rates for him go up to about 40% because of not having guys like Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo in. Edwards is a Q tag, though, so if he's out, you probably have to take shots on Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Conley, I would guess, if he'd also plays, he's also a Q tag. Rob Dillingham could pick up the start if Conley were out. If Edwards is out, anything looks better here because he's such a usage monster. And if Edwards is in, he's going to take all the usage, so he'd be worth playing as well. It's basically how Minnesota looks right now. Oh, God, Detroit, 121.3 implied points. Chicago, 115.3. Detroit just smoked these guys yesterday. Thank you, Dean. Just told your wife to give a shout-out on her OnlyFans. I'm sure a lot of overlap between the men interested in those things. Detroit, 121.3. I know it's a joke, but nonetheless, I'd be curious to see the chronic masturbators that come to NBA DFS channels. We got Cade Cunningham looking like an okay play for the field, 8% for them. I'm getting 4% Cade, despite having Cade pretty well projected at 51.8. No issue with Cade. Detroit's probably not going to blow Chicago out to the same extent as he did yesterday. Chicago on their side, not any priorities for me. Vucevic, as I mentioned enough times, does actually look a little bit worse in court time without Zach LaVine out there because the guys who come in basically have three guards buzzing around taking shots with Dosunmu, with Giddey, with Kobe White, as opposed to having Giddey and White kind of deferring to LaVine and taking less. With Vooch, you can play him today at 6% owned. He failed miserably as chalk yesterday, which I kind of warned about. Revenge spot for Chicago for getting smoked yesterday. You want to play these guys, you can. They don't project that well. Their salaries, though. Sacramento, nothing I love here. Getting a little bit of Sabonis, about 10%. Getting about 15% Malik Monk, though, again, my projections are lower than Stokastic, so I'm probably not getting that much. Zach LaVine's probably due to take more opportunity, more fantasy points away from the team at some point that he's doing right now. He's been getting up almost 20 shots a game in 2 out of the 3 games he's had. So LaVine, I think keeping his rates where they've been is probably fair. At a certain point, he's going to shoot better than he has, and at that point, he might take even more usage. Not assisting very well, though, on Sacramento so far. These guys are playable versus New Orleans. None of them look like a priority, though, because of the fact you have 4 fairly high usage guys, much like you have for Sacramento this whole year with Fox before. Now it's just LaVine in there, and these guys are kind of priced for the situation that it is. Slate is absurd. It sure is. Sure is, as CJ agrees with. It's too much. It's too much to go through here, especially knowing the fact, too, that this is all going to fucking be moot when player Y gets ruled out at some point shortly after the show. I'm checking Twitter in parallel as well. DeAndre Ayton out a month. Ja Morant questionable now. Vince Williams questionable. Great stuff. It doesn't matter for the slate, though, because Memphis is not on either FanDuel or DraftKings, I don't think. New Orleans here. Jose Alvarado looks like an okay play. 10% for the field. I'm not going to be as much as that sim exposure looks like, though. Zion Williamson, 7.4%. Doing better projected than Stokastic does. I'm okay with Zion taking the shot here. If he does play with the Q tag on him. If he doesn't play, Murphy looks better. McCollum looks better. Missy looks better. Carlo Makovich probably playable. Bruce Brown is off the injury report, so he should be getting some minutes today, and that could muck things up a little. But New Orleans, I think a playable team here. It's not getting much ownership. Phoenix, Kevin Durant feels like he shouldn't be playing today after playing big minutes yesterday. He is in right now, though. Him being in, he looks like a good play. As I mentioned, in a very small sample size of court time without Beal, without Booker, he's averaged about 1.65 fantasy points per minute. Has been an absolute monster. I don't expect that to be the case, but I think he's worth a little bit of ownership here if he does go. If he does go, still think Bull looks like a good play. Having a 32.4 projection at 4,300. Tyus Jones playable as well at $4,800 salary. If Durant's out, everybody's in play again, but Bull would be a priority. Tyus Jones would be a priority. I think O'Neal would look better at 5K. Ryan Dunn would be a little bit more in play. Damian Lee would be a little bit more in play because basically they just need some guys who get shots up if Durant is out. Tough matchup, though, versus Houston on their side. Not a lot to love for Houston. Fred VanVleet out, but nobody gets enough of a boost here to want to play at a crazy amount. Amin Thompson, 2% owned today versus a team that's maybe a little bit depleted. I think that's the kind of day where you play Amin Thompson at 8,400. Point guard, small forward today. Not a great projection for him, but he does get a little bit of an uptick because of not having VanVleet in there. The rest of the guys, not too highly owned. Tari Eason getting in some amount of lineups here, but I think they're an interesting team to go to, playing a shitty defense and a Phoenix team that's now depleted. I think they run the chance of maybe blowing out Phoenix here, especially if Durant doesn't go. Lakers, 122.5 implied points. Don't think you should play anybody at this point with Luka and LeBron's price tags where they are. Utah on their side, no Sexton. Still nothing looks that good here. Got John Collins a little bit. Good projection on him at 35.9. Portland, 111 implied points. Denver, 122.3. I know DeAndre Ayton, as we just talked about, he's out for a month. Still, though, nobody looks that good here. Anthony Simons, 10% for the field. I got him at 5. Nikola Jokic on the other side. So he's actually not quite as good of a fantasy points per minute guy. When you take Westbrook and Peyton Watson off the court, I'm not entirely sure why that is. Because I initially had him projected to play about 2 fantasy points a minute today. After adjusting his rates to what they look like normally without Watson and Westbrook, he came down a little bit more. So basically, I think it's because the other guys starting to get up more shots. But for Jokic, not really a play that I think you have to get to a crazy amount today. He's got the highest ceiling on the slate. He's not going to be owned too much at 11% projected ownership. But to me, like, he doesn't look like a lock button play. If Aaron Gordon goes out, you get a little bit more of a shot there because that's basically one more legit producer that's going there. I would not play Klingon, no. I have Klingon for 22 fantasy points. Would not be the move for me. I do not sell the projection sheets currently, no. At some point, and maybe after the All-Star break, I may just sell my part of the data. Obviously not the Stokastic stuff because I'm not going to resell their things. But that's something I'm going to look at when I have a few days off to think about it. But I appreciate you asking. Yeah, only on my OnlyFans. Golden State, 119.8 implied points. Dallas, 113.3. You're getting no Kuminga in again. So I gave the Warriors the rates they have so far for Jimmy Butler playing because Jimmy Butler has been playing like Klay Thompson usage, but also a ton of assist upside, rebounding good amount too. Obviously, Butler firing out hot after being traded to the team is not a shocker. But I think with Draymond Green being projected for a lot of ownership here at 21%, he has suffered the most so far from Jimmy Butler being on this team. He's actually averaging, and I don't want to keep talking about rate stuff because we are so low on time here, but it's important. Draymond's been averaging with Butler 0.9 fantasy points a minute, lower usage, lower assist rate. Butler's been averaging 1.4 fantasy points a minute on 28% usage and a 26% assist rate. I think Butler, at least as it looks so far, is kind of taking Draymond Green's lunch. Moody's also getting entirely lost in the sauce too. He's barely getting shots up. I didn't touch his rates, but he's been down to like 14% usage since Butler's been on the team. I don't think it's good for Golden State if these guys are chalky. So Moody and Green, I would not play today as much as the field's going to. And I would take shots at Jimmy Butler, who looks like he's got like a real upside. I don't know if he's going to hold up at 1.4 fantasy points a minute, but 1.2, 1.3 seem feasible. And our last game that's actually on the slates, because I don't think this Memphis one is even on FanDuel. Dallas, you got no Luka, obviously. You got no Gafford. That's a new one. No Anthony Davis. Nobody here looks that good. PJ Washington would probably be getting a good amount of center run if he does play. He's also a Q tag. If Washington is out, these guys will look a little bit better. Olivier Maxence Prosper got the start, the second half start last game. Actually, I think he got the start too with Gafford being out. Played a little bit more minutes. He's 4,200. He's not really a great producer, so you don't want to die there. If Washington's in, if Washington's out, you can take your shots. But that's how it looks for Dallas, and that's it's the fucking slate, guys. Please, for the love of God, hit some likes, hit some subscribes. I'm begging for it here. Super chats, I'll take them all. That's a lot to get through. But let's look at Unabated. Let's learn more about that before we hop to the world of Unabated to see some of the best bets today. Do I have to talk over this? At this point, you're getting great data. NBA slates today, you have legit 16 different sets of projections. For all the Q-Tag players, that is what you get with Unabated every day. They're dynamic conditional projections. Rule guys in, rule guys out. and see what the lines would look like, simulate them, see what the expected value is in various situations. Real-time NBA news, you don't have to be on Twitter, don't have to be on Blue Sky. You just go on there, get Discord alerts every day from Unabated. And of course, you're going to see here some graphs. Those graphs go up, those graphs go down, graph goes up, graph goes down. You can see the distribution of things as well in the simulations. Expert game day live streams to compete with me, so you don't have to watch them. They do a great job on them. Chats, all those chats you can do with Unabated staff.
You know the crowd is ready. Get ready.
And of course, go sign up now, unabated.com/NBA, and you can see an ROI like this one where they are up just shy of $40,000 for all the bets placed 30 minutes before tip-off, $100 units, and just taking basically the middle outcome of the sportsbooks available. If you were price shopping, probably even better. Basically, this is the ROI you would have using this data, and you can see the graph moving in the right direction. That is what you want to see from a graph that shows your earnings over a period of time. Unabated cares a lot about the stuff because they have customers that will not allow them to fucking bullshit around, give you bad data. So check it out for yourself. Unabated.com, promo code /, build easier pick'ems, build easier bets on regular sports books, whatever you're trying to do. It puts the graphs on the screen or else it gets the hose again. Yes. Got to be well lubricated as well for the graphs. Much like Silence of the Lambs. All right. So we're not going to put in any of the Q tag guys. So we're going to be missing all of these teams, all of these players' teams. That's how that looks. But let's see what we get besides these guys. There's at least a few teams without a Q tag on the slate that we'll find here. We're looking at points bets right now. Of course, what Unabated is doing is created an expected value off of their traditional NBA projections. Expected value, the win rate times the win amount minus the loss rate times the loss amount. The most important thing you need to know if you're betting anywhere. And really for life in general. All right, let's go up, trying to just make sure we pull in every line. There are too many players on the slate. And there are quite literally 400 players available with a projected amount of minutes on the slate. So we're going to do the best we can here. Jalen Smith under 8.5 points, 13.4% EV at plus 100 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook. Your top bet right now for points, Jalen Smith under 8.5 points, plus 100 odds on DraftKings. Onyeka Okongwu over 12.5 points, 11.4% EV at minus 122 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. Also bettable on PrizePicks, 8.1% EV for Okongwu. Over 13 points on there. Karis LeVert under 12.5 points. Your best bets on FanDuel Sportsbook. Minus 105 odds. Gets you 10.7% EV. Also bettable on DraftKings for Karis LeVert under 12.5 points there. Gets you 8.3% EV. De'Aaron Fox under 22.5 points. 7.8% EV and minus 108 odds on FanDuel. You probably don't want it anywhere else, though. Paolo Banchero under 20. Oh, that one's gone. Bye, Paolo. Zachary Rizache under 11.5 points, 6.7% EV at minus 104 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. Also bettable on DraftKings under 11.5 points for Rizache on there. Gets you about 6% flat EV. Dennis Schroeder over 7.5 points playing backup point guard minutes for Detroit. 6.5% EV for him on DraftKings plus 100 odds. Not good anywhere else. And Domantas Sabonis under 19.5 points, minus 1 of that one's gone. Where did you go? Oh, Banchero's back. 6.1% EV for Banchero under 22.5 points, minus 105 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook. Rebounds coming up next. DFS sim as well coming up in a moment, and I will be on the deeper dive at 5 o'clock with Eric Lindquist. So come tune in there. Got to get my AirPods after the show. Plug in. You have the puppet next to me. Unclear if the puppet's going to come out because we have too many games to talk about. That's coming up in a moment on Stokastic's YouTube channel as well. Mason Plumlee under 7 rebounds. Good to go on PrizePicks. 20.8% EV on there. We also have DK Sportsbook under 7.5 rebounds. Minus 140 odds gets you 19.3% EV. So Mason Plumlee under 7.5 rebounds. Bet it if you can get it. Royce O'Neal under 5 rebounds on PrizePicks. Looking really good. 19% EV. Royce O'Neal also getting 14% EV on DraftKings Sportsbook under 4.5. These lines kind of, well, there's value on the under. So they're saying the lines are overpriced for Durant being in. That kind of makes me think Durant's going to get ruled out at some point. Well, for right now, these Plumlee and O'Neal lines look good, but you normally wouldn't see this much sim EV on the under unless somebody were incorrectly assumed to be in. And obviously with Durant, that would be the concern point. Jared Vanderbilt under 5.5 rebounds. This one should be good to go no matter what. -111 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook, 13.1% EV for Jared Vanderbilt under 5.5 rebounds. Trae Young under 2.5 rebounds, +105 odds on DraftKings gets you 12.7% EV for Trae Young under 2.5 rebounds. Zachary Rizashea under 3.5 rebounds, -138 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook, get you 12.4% EV. John Collins over 7.5 rebounds. PrizePicks line there gets you 11.4% EV. And Domantas Sabonis, 11.1% EV at -105 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook for under 14. Wow, 14.5 is his line? Jesus, the Pelicans suck. I get that. That's an egregious rebound line. 14.5 is like some Dennis Rodman shit. All right. Oh, the dickless puppet has to appear. What do you want, a dicked puppet? I don't think we need to say. I don't think there are many puppets that have dicks out there for the record. If there are, it's not ones that I'm buying off of Amazon. I think you probably have to go to a specialty shop if you want puppets with dicks. That'd be my guess. I'm no expert though. Despite me, having my hand up the ass of one pretty regularly. Asar Thompson under 2.5 assists, 21% EV for him, +105 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook. For Asar Thompson, also playable on Underdog, lower on 2.5 assists there for Asar Thompson. Looking good today on DraftKings or Underdog. We got Norman Powell over 2.5 assists, 16.1% EV at +145 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook. Kobe White under 4.5 assists, -110 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook, get you 10% EV. Also bettable on PrizePicks and Underdog under 4.5 assists or lower on 4.5 assists on your pick'em sites. John Collins, let's round up. 10% EV for John Collins over 1.5 assists. That one looks best on Underdog, but playable on PrizePicks as well for John Collins over 1.5. Kevin Durant, EV on both sides here, so something's up with Durant. EV on over 3.5 on PrizePicks, EV on under 4.5 for Kevin Durant on DraftKings at -125 odds. Jackson Hayes under 1.5 on PrizePicks, looking good at 7.8% EV. And Dyson Daniels under over 4.5 assists, +110 odds gets you 7.1% EV. And last but not least, our PRAs. Great band names, but Muppet Dick is Muppet. Muppet Dick is pretty punk rock. That is funny. That is funny. And now, welcome to the stage, Muppet Dick. I think that was more of a stripper thing. I don't think you want to welcome Muppet Dick to the stage at a strip club. But maybe it would be funny. Mason Plumlee under 14.5 PRAs, 18.3% EV on Underdog. The lower 14.5 PRAs for Mason Plumlee. Goga Bitadze under 17 PRAs, 15.8% EV on PrizePicks. Also bettable on Underdog, 16.5 PRAs. The lower gets you 8.7% EV. And DraftKings Sportsbook, you get 10% EV, but it's not available on FanDuel, so no Grand Slam. Goga Bitadze under 17 rebounds or 16.5 on some sites out there. PRAs, not rebounds. Domantas Sabonis under 40.5 PRAs. So he's got really high rebound lines today, but we're taking the under on PRAs. Under 40.5 PRAs, -104 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook at you 12.3% EV. Still bettable on PrizePicks and Underdog where it's 5.8% EV. Zachary Rizashea, 10.3% EV on PrizePicks under 16.5 PRAs. Royce O'Neal under 19.5 PRAs on Underdog. The lower, it's a 10% EV. Karis LeVert, I'm almost free of reading out betting lines. Karis LeVert, 9.2% EV under 20.5, -122 odds on FanDuel. Isaiah Collier, bet that one on DraftKings and PrizePicks if you need to round out your pick'em slip. Collier under 23.5 PRAs. Underdog, PrizePicks. Yeehaw. DFS sim coming up next, guys. Before we complete this journey, they still haven't updated projections. There's really the sim is going to be pointless, guys. I have to warn you. let's go over here. We'll see what a Stokastic sim has. It's going to look a lot like the sim data I had before because they wouldn't let me upload in my projections, and now they haven't updated theirs either. So sick. I don't know how I'm going to fucking prepare for the deeper dive in between shows if they don't update their projections. But that's what you're getting. Stokastic will update at some point, though, so the sales pitch is really now on you. 15% off Stokastic. You want to see the updated data on Stokastic? You can go get it 15% off. It's going to be hot off the presses for you the moment they drop it. So check it out for yourself. We're going to be running a sim off of data they had this morning, unfortunately. But we'll see what we get here. I can only do so much, guys. I can only do so much. But hopefully, I guarantee that they're going to update right before the deeper dive. And I have to fucking run a sim in between shows. Oh, life is so hard. Life is so hard. Not like Puppet Dick. Puppet Dick is not. There are less Q tags than there were on Monday. So that's the positive. There's like 30 Q tags right now. But Unabated has that as 17 players who matter that have different sets of conditional projections. So, it's a lot. It's a lot. Anyway, in this projection set right now, RJ Barrett is not in. So quickly is going to come up a lot. I think it's probably one of the main ones we're going to see, but I'll try to highlight them as we go because I spent my entire afternoon working the projections to make them correct. And unfortunately, that did not get done yet on their side. Oh, well, guys, but while we're doing this, one quick run through the plugs. It's a lot to read today, guys. It's a lot to prepare for. So please show some love. Hit the like button, subscribe. It all goes a long way. A couple of weeks ago, we were getting 100 likes a stream, and we got more than 100 people watching live, almost 200 watching live. So please smash that like button. Please subscribe. It does go a long way for me here. I'm one dude who shows up every day here doing the work for free here for you guys, and I do the best I can no matter what the circumstances are. It's always going to be the case, but your likes go a long way here for telling YouTube that this show matters. Underdog, $1,000 of bonus cash. Link in the description. Build the pick'ems off the data I just showed you. Stokastic, 15% off. You want to get that data when it actually is dropped. Check it out. And, of course, Unabated, our presenting sponsor. $30 off here with promo code SPLASH. All these sponsors, all the tools that I use, link in the description down below. So you can go take your tool down to the description. Click around. Yes, listen to Sotex. Like and subscribe. Like being run through the plugs. Thank you. Thank you. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to run you through it all. Oh, my God. Yeah, Deeper Dive is going to suck because players are going to be getting ruled out during the show as well. That's going to be a tough one. Well, like 1% of the field's going to play him, so go nuts. Your top ROI lineups right now, according to Stokastic. Number 1, and this is, again, assuming that RJ Barrett was out. Still close to playable, though. Quickly, Brandon Pajemski, Kyle Kuzma, Tari Eason, Karl Anthony Towns, Jose Alvarado, Draymond Green, Onyeka Okongwu. So if RJ Barrett were out, Quickly would look a lot better. As it is, he looks like an okay play. But this lineup, I think, would still be a good lineup. It probably wouldn't be your number 1 ROI lineup, be my guess. We got Jordan Poole at number 2. Jordan Poole, Brandon Pajemski, Kyle Kuzma, Pascal Siakam, Thomas Bryant. Okay, I support that. Quickly, Draymond Green. I do not support that. Onyeka Okongwu at number 2. At number 3, Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, Nick Smith Jr., Obi Toppin, Thomas Bryant, Jalen Brunson, Bol, and Nikola Jokic. At number 4, KJ Simpson, Keon Johnson, Kyle Kuzma, Bol again, Alex Sarr, Emmanuel Quickly, Draymond Green, and Nikola Jokic. And at number 5, Emmanuel Quickly again, Buddy Hield, Karis LeVert, Pascal Siakam, Alex Sarr, Moses Moody, Bol, and Nikola Jokic. So my guesses here will be because of Booker being out now, he wasn't out in this data set, Bol is going to come up. So you're going to see him even more. Quickly, you'll see less of because of Barrett being in the projection set now. Moody, I think, will still be a play they like. Sarr will still be the same kind of play they like. Jokic will still be the same and would only get better if Gordon ruled out. So nothing really too crazy from those top 5 lineups. Nothing that's going to be like completely different. I don't like any of these top ROI lineups. This is why I lose, I guess. I mean, look, it's important to know what you're getting with them, but yeah, I mean, that's what the sims are meant to do. Like, it's meant to be a fact check of your priors. So it doesn't mean that you need to play exactly the sim is giving you, but like, honestly, make your own projections and put them in a sim and see how they do, and you'll get a similar thing there. Sort of how it looks. Yeah, I am on at 5. So we got let's run through this fast. Thomas Bryant, your highest ROI guy right now, 10%, or I guess 11% ROI for Thomas Bryant. Number 2 is Emmanuel Quickly. Number 3 is Draymond Green. Number 4, Bol. Number 5, Lonzo Ball. Number 6, Jose Alvarado. Number 7, Pascal Siakam. Top exposed players, Emmanuel Quickly, which is going to go down, but with the assumption they had initially that Barrett would be out, Quickly 65% compared to 27. Thomas Bryant, 53% compared to 17. He's probably very chalky today, but you'll probably have him in at least half your lineups of Stokastic data. Draymond Green, 40% compared to 20. Strongly disagree with that one, as I've said. Just think Jimmy Butler is going to be eating his lunch a little bit more than it seems based off the longer-term projection set. Bol, 34% compared to 13. He should be, honestly, in every lineup that feels low, but they did have Booker assumed to be in before this, and Grayson Allen. Moses Moody, 34% compared to 27. There's got to be better value that opens up than Moses Moody. I really don't like him as a play. Pascal Siakam, 32% compared to 17. Big stand there. Karl Anthony Towns, 29% compared to 19. Your highest leverage guys are Quickly, Bryant, Bol, Draymond Green, Siakam, Towns, and LeVert. And your most negative leverage plays, Aaron Nesmith, PJ Washington, Delano Banton, Domantas Sabonis, Anthony Simons, Cade Cunningham, and John Collins. Doesn't matter now, Larry. We don't have enough time. That is it for the slate, guys. You guys know the deal. Check the description for all the sponsors. I'll make it fast. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe, and I'll give you my splash plays in one moment after I know you click those buttons. Okay, I'm pretty sure you clicked it. Splash plays for the day. Bowl, number one. I think he's your top value right now on the slate. Besides him, Thomas Bryant, I think another smash play today. Splash play, smash play, all the things above going against Washington. Besides those guys, I do like Quentin Grimes playing his minutes, another mid-tier guy, value option. The Hornets guys, Nick Smith and KT Simpson, I'll certainly take some shots there today. Those will be my top value guys. In terms of pay-up options, they're just too fucking many. Cat, I do like paying up for conceptually. Looking through everything one more time here. Jokic, if you can get there. Edwards and Towns would be my big ones. Lillard, if he plays as well. And I would go back to Bobby Portis, whether Lillard is in or out. If Lillard's out especially, I'd go back to Bobby Portis. That's it for this one, guys. I'm heading over to the deeper dive right now. Make sure to do that little clicky, like, subscribe, all that shit. Gamble responsibly, even it is always money time here. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play NBA. Jesus Christ. Follow the NFL version at Splash Play Pod. I will see you guys on Stokastic in a moment. I'm going to go rerun all my data and then hang myself. See you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Bye-bye.